run the actual application. But here are the two load balancers, and this is the way I did it. There's no specific way you have to do it, but I feel this will be the easiest way to scale. There's two load balancers, one for the actual application, one for Jenkins. There'll be one for the Sonar Cube as well. And it'll be three different environments. There's going to be a development environment, test environment, and then a production environment. This way, only code that is sound is getting pushed actually out to the world for everyone to use. So we know it's tested. We know it doesn't have any vulnerabilities, which is one of the points of using Sonar Cube to statically analyze the code to make sure there's no inherent vulnerabilities with the actual code. But I use this load balancer. So Amazon is really, they're kind of like at the forefront of a lot of this, not forefront, but they make things very simple. So usually you have to pay for certificates, SSL certificates. Not all the time are that expensive, but Amazon will do it for free as long as you create a CNAME record in the whatever registrar you're using to host your website. So I'm using Namecheap. So I made a couple CNAME records there to show that I own the domain, and then Amazon will issue me certificates, and they're good for as long as the CNAME record is in existence in Namecheap, which is pretty dope. This way I don't have to renew it or like that; it never expires. But I use these load balancers so that when I have a decent amount of family members, probably like 120, 130 with extended and stuff like that. So we have a whole committee for our family reunion. We have a treasurer. We have a president, vice president. Like it's an actual like little organization. I don't know how many people are going to use this once I create it. It's really just for me, but I figure it can't hurt to do something that I'm going to be excited about. I'm going to be proud to create and make. But I use these back to the topic. I use these two load balancers so that I can put the certificate on the load balancer. So I don't have to actually store the certificate on each individual server. I can just leave it on load balancer no matter how many endpoints I put behind the load balancer. All the traffic is always going to be encrypted. And again, that makes it easier to scale because as I add more, depending upon how many people join and use this, as there's more requests and more things happening, or people help me develop it, writing the code and stuff like that, it's going to make it a lot easier to handle all that traffic going through. And then also, I didn't set it up right now, but I do have a workspace with Microsoft Sentinel. They make it super easy to add a connector into these endpoints to have all that log file ingested into Sentinel. I was trying to find a little lab I did before with Jason. I think it's Jason Matador. I think his last name is Matador, but I found it on YouTube. It was a quick little thing where we set up a little lab, Sentinel. There was a Windows endpoint, and then you removed all of the security features, Windows Defender, all that, and then you just allowed the internet to just hit this thing nonstop. I was going to try to find the logs. Right? Say that again?
It was like a honeypot lab, right? For Jason Matador?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a honeypot because there wasn't anything else. It was, I mean, kind of that situation where you make it vulnerable purposely for people to hit it, so you can generate a lot of logs, but there wasn't really anything. I mean, we didn't set anything up in the actual Windows, the Windows instance. It was just a Windows 10, Windows 11 instance that just was completely vulnerable. But yeah, I was trying to find those logs, but I couldn't, so we can at least look at those and look through it. But like I said, Microsoft make it super easy, add a connector into the endpoint in Amazon, push all of the logs over to Sentinel and have it all right there. Both Sentinel and Splunk only give you, I think it's 30 days of a free trial. So I may just end up having to store. I don't know if I can continue to ingest all that. I'm not sure how they're going to charge me for, I think it's per gigabit or 4 gigabits of data that comes through. They're going to charge you X amount of money. I can't remember exactly what it was. But just depending upon the pricing and stuff like that, maybe I might have to cut that out and use something like Lima Charlie, which is completely free. But I don't know how difficult it's going to be to add a connector from Lima Charlie into Amazon if Amazon's going to accept that traffic. I haven't looked into it that much yet. But that's just a quick high-level overview of what I have going on. And of course, Amazon has, I don't know if you can see the side over, no, not here. They've got CloudWatch, which is what's going to collect all the data. And I have an S3 bucket that's going to push all that data to. From the S3 bucket is what's going to pull from Microsoft Sentinel, is going to pull all that data from the S3 bucket. And of course, all this is going to be encrypted. I haven't decided on how I'm going to encrypt the data at rest in the Microsoft Sentinel workspace, but that is definitely something that should be considered. You know, you don't want just all of your data just sitting there clear text for, you know, should someone be able to breach it? I highly doubt it, but because you have Microsoft's whole team trying to ensure that nothing's getting breached. But in the event that it does happen, you at least want to have another defensive, even though you're in there, you can't see anything. You know what I mean? But yeah, and then of course Route 53 is the DNS records for AWS, which I have a bunch in there too for all the different resources that I have created. But yeah, that's the high level overview. Nothing too showcasey just yet. But hopefully work is going to die down and kids will stay from puking, so I can get some work done at night and throughout the day at work.
Gotcha. Shoot, definitely appreciate that high level overview, my man. I know Jenkins for software development is definitely going to be great experience for people within the group that haven't had much experience with it. It's a very
Yeah,
common industry related tool that's used in a lot of environments for different organizations. So getting experience with that, definitely setting it up, getting it configured, operating it in a lab environment would be amazing. And like I said, if you need some help, man, shoot, you got plenty of hands in here that's willing to provide some assistance.
yeah,
And
for
I want
sure.
to love that. And I want to say, I think with Splunk, I know you said, when they charge you for a certain uh amount of data that you were to ingest, but I think if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, using like we usually use the previous release of Splunk instead of like the most most
Current.
recent release that
Yeah,
they have. Yeah. And so like it usually lets you use as much as you need for free, but yeah, the data ingestion I want to say is still limited whenever it's like streaming it in. So
right.
I can see if we can find a workaround for it, but something to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah. I had a thought a minute ago too. It'll come back to me at some point.
Was it Jenkins related or was it ingestion related?
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you said that. What my initial thought, or not my initial thought, my initial idea was what I was going to be doing last night since my daughter was puking, was to start create like I don't want to say PowerPoint, but maybe slides or like screenshots of different things that I've done. Because so all of this stuff I'm doing right now in AWS, this is all manual. But what I want to do, or the idea, is to automate a lot of this stuff. So once I have the whole structure, the structure of the what I'm trying to do set up, I can make a document in AWS with all the different steps that I've taken, whether between installing Jenkins on servers, installing HTTP Apache on servers, installing any kind of programming, setting up things, firewalls and stuff like that. I can automate it so when any new instance is brought up, everything will be done, and I don't have to go and manually do everything one at a time. But with that
Mm,
being said, I want to take time to probably screenshot each step that I've done, screenshot along with if I had to do anything command line wise. Um, I guess I could do it in a PowerPoint. This way, it'll be easier. Like, say, like if you guys want to try it on your own, do it yourself. You'll have a step-by-step guide on how I've done it. Now, I'm not saying how I'm doing is the only way to do it. You can definitely take liberties to adjust things and stuff like that, wherever you may have an idea or something like that. But at least it'll give you like a kind of like a stepping stone, a first step, or you know what I mean, like a recipe. You know what I mean? Here is how it was done, but you can put your spin on it and do whatever you need to do to make it tailor to what you want to do, kind of situation. This way, I mean, you can hear me. This just come back to me being a mechanic. I can hear someone talk about working on cars nonstop, but until I actually do it, will I actually understand what it is to actually, create, fix, and troubleshoot some stuff?
exactly. I completely agree on that. And shoot, dude, I will be willing to help out building that documentation too. If you want to make that a project, I'm game for that
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good.
for sure, for sure. Shoot, but that's definitely gonna be insightful for most people, especially as everyone's developing on their journey. It's gonna help out a lot.
Right, right.
And I have a quick thought about the Azure Sentinel, if you don't mind sharing a little bit just about kind of protecting the logs. It's kind of like from my experience, they don't really, or the previous company I work with, they don't really encrypt the logs just because there's so many logs in there. And then it's kind of like a business decision to see like it adds additional cost, additional processing power too. So you might want to use other technical controls to compensate that, which is more on the RBAC side, and even like restricting who can access your Azure Sentinel VM through IP address. So that
Right.
would additional sideways to save cost and time on it instead of encrypting the logs itself.
I got you. I got you. That makes a lot of sense.
Agreed. Yeah, I can see that'll probably put a lot of stress on a network too. Also, just trying to encrypt all of those logs, especially if you got a ton coming in at the same time.
Right.
But all right, anybody got any more questions, insight, expertise they want to contribute? Now's the time to shine.
I was just going to build off of your project, what you have going on, Michael. Now, as far as the data connectors for AWS, I can just ingest that data, so you don't have to build a whole separate lab. It's kind of what my idea was, and then to be like a shared cost type of thing. It won't be too big of a deal. And then obviously we're not going to have it up You know, we're not gonna have machines up and you know running 24/7 either. So it
Yeah,
shouldn't
for
be
sure. For
yeah,
sure.
it shouldn't be that shouldn't be that big of a deal. As far as like encryption, I'm pretty sure that Microsoft, at least for the let me see, storage server encryption protection, data at rest, encryption data, Azure storage encryption data as it's written. So I think they have like some type of you know base layer of encryption for that as far as Sentinel goes. So I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me show you guys what I got. I was trying to show you guys the Caldera instance I have, but I have to do some Linux Ninja stuff here in a minute because I think that because I have to use a different like I like to RDP into my Linux box to download X RDP, and I think the service isn't started and it's not letting me RDP into it. But I've got a lot of stuff already pre-configured here, so I can walk you guys through that. Let me share my screen right quick. Damn, I really want to show that Caldera. I'm gonna have to next time. I'll make sure I have it up because that's gonna be the coolest part about this is being able to you know get those agents on machines and then just shoot you know different attacks and stuff and techniques and stuff all at once and kind of build playbooks and stuff around that. It's kind of my idea. Let me see. All right, I'm actually going to start off with showing you guys virtual machines I have right now. Here's my attack box, like a makeshift domain controller. This is also just going to be probably like a makeshift domain controller. So I'm not trying to add like a bunch of like workstations and stuff. I'm also setting up user accounts as well within Active Directory because I really want this to be like, like we discussed before, like a cyber range type of deal. So whenever we do get like alerts and Sentinel and stuff, and then I'm deploying these agents across, I'm gonna try to probably put like 20 virtual machines on this network and like with 20 unique accounts. And that way it'll have like sort of like a real feel to it, it'll be like when an alert comes in for a machine, it'll be like, workstation 6 for John Mackey, he did some weird PowerShell, action or something like that. And then, in the playbook, I like to have like go to Active Directory. We could tell people to go to Active Directory. I don't have my domain set up by the way, so it's just my email. That's something I plan on fixing. But yeah, we could go through, search through the users and like their audit logs and their SONAR logs and stuff, and then kind of teach, aspiring SOC analysts how to like pivot through investigations, kind of gather as much data as possible. As far as let me see, as far as Sentinel goes, I actually do have some analytics set up. Here's just kind of an overview. I've got 2 active connectors, and this is just the Microsoft Defender for Cloud and the Microsoft Defender. I've got 4 rules enabled, or 5 rules enabled. Let's go to our instance and kind of give you guys the idea of what this is gonna look like. This is the SIM. So if you've never seen Azure Sentinel, this is what it looks like. And if you're a SOC analyst, this is what's gonna look like from your like day-to-day experience. I wanted to have, if I could get into my Linux machine, I was gonna try to do like an actual demonstration here, but I have to do that another time. But for now, I just show you the closed ones. Let me see. So these are just, so this is like an RDP brute force rule that, simple rule that I wrote. And like, this is what it's going to look like when, your alerts come in, you're assigned by whoever's in your group, close, whatever. And then this is just kind of a very simple playbook. This kind of idea I have: perform OSINT, review users sign-in logs, the whole 9. And then you can actually tag the entities, and you can set up how you want this to ingest. Mine isn't like super robust right now, but if you go into this drill down, you can see exactly what happened, what the rule is, what the search is. Let me see. Yeah, so this is just brute force test. So there's not gonna be much information here other than how many times and freaking. I did this on my hotspot too. That's why I came in as IPv6. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much the idea with that. I do want to show you the connectors so you can kind of get an idea how simple this is, or maybe this might put a light bulb on because I'm not sure what that's gonna look like because I've never used AWS Cloud before. So maybe when you see this, you'll know exactly what that should look like and how we should get that going. Damn, where's my oh, here we Yeah, so these are all the enabled connectors I have right now. Defender, Defender Cloud, Defender Endpoint. And then you can actually see, yeah, so you can see all the endpoint events that I've ingested so far. And then it'll tell you, because I don't have like the top tier subscription, there's certain stuff that I'm not going to be able to ingest, but we have pretty much what we need: network device events, process events, registry events, stuff like this. Now, as far as the AWS connector, let me see to the content hub. I was looking at this the other day. Yeah, look right here. So this is how I'm guessing we would. I'm guessing I would install this, and it's going to have like some type of API or something like that you're going to have to, I don't know, put on your machine or wherever the logs are coming from. And
yeah, it gives a command to install the actual Amazon or not the Amazon, the Sentinel connector on the Amazon instance. And
right.
yeah, so it typically Cloudflare will push the logs from the instances to an S3 bucket. So you would put the AWS connector on the S3 bucket, so it would pull all the information from the S3 bucket into Sentinel.
Okay, nice. No, yeah, so definitely need to look into it, and I definitely want to do that too because, my current job, it's kind of weird because like cloud just kind of grew so fast, but the education hasn't really caught up yet. Like unless you're like a cloud security analyst, you're not really going to know in and out how to like work cloud events, and like a lot of it does come with experience. Like there's like a methodology, when it comes to like cybersecurity, like SOC work. There's certain things that you do, certain things you want to check for that never typically change. And sometimes you're not going to have the data available, and sometimes you do, but it's about doing as much as you can with what you do have. But that's why I like Sentinel a lot though, because of Active Directory. I think that identity access management is the fucking core, should be the core of any organization, because a lot of times what you'll see, what you'll experience is, like Splunk, like a Splunk environment or Kibana or LStack or whatever. They don't have like a good AD setup, and you probably won't even have access to the AD, or they won't even have AD logs. And you're trying to figure out if this user is supposed to be doing this, and then like imagine if they had their AD set up and you just go in there and you can literally look at the role in their assigned groups. You're like, okay, well this user assigned to this group, he's supposed to be doing this network stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much a pretty high level overview of what we got going on. I don't have much as far as that's Sentinel. That's pretty much the idea of what I would like to incorporate. Definitely open any other ideas and stuff like that. And I think that's actually going to be really cool, especially when we get a bunch of devices on the network, and then we can help. Maybe I can even install. Maybe I can try to get the Caldera agent on those AWS hosts that you have too, and we could try to see what that looks like from a Cloud Trail log format as well.
Yeah, for sure, because there's going to be a lot of different records that are going to be pulled because of number one, the different provider, you know what I mean, and then number two, just all the different points that AWS uses to make everything run. So it'll definitely, I agree with you. It'll definitely be good to have that comparison between your typical Windows or Linux box versus an AWS endpoint.
Right. Yep. I've tried to create, and I'm trying to trip those too though, because I don't even know. Like Sentinel EDR should pick up on most of this stuff, but I want to I don't know. I'm gonna do some custom stuff too, like download Bloodhound or something, and do some AD enumeration. You know what I mean? Because these are things that I'm not gonna lie, like some of these tools that you see, and it's very important to know like your Mimikatz, Bloodhound, like just like your really big tool, like Empire, like the big name tools, because if you miss this type of stuff, and this is kind of why the experience is so important. And they want you to know about these different tools, because they're super popular tools, but they're super powerful. But if you ever see it in an environment, it's like an instant red flag. So if you can't, I guess, I want to try to help as many people as I can through this project identify those instant red flags. Like, hey, this is what you should be definitely looking for. Because not everything is going to be right in front of your face, but when it is, you definitely need to be able to discern that, and so you don't lose your job, because people do get let go for you know, because a lot of times, like you'll see it, and it's like, okay, well, why don't you do a Google search for Bloodhound? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a Google search would have told you what it is, and you're like, damn, it's not, you know, it's
Right.
not very good. Or hell,
Right.
now we
And
got
then-
with artificial intelligence too. I mean, that speeds up workflow a lot. So there's not a lot of stuff, you know. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much all I got. If anything, if anybody else has anything else, this thing's got a lot of functionality. I was already doing this, so when Scottie reached out to me, you know, I kind of jumped on it because this is just going to help me develop my skills even further. Because someday I want to do like stock as a service.